Good evening again. Welcome, everyone. I am 1AM, and this is 1AM, the strange and supernatural. On this night, I would like to share with all of you a little bit of my own story, my own life, about learning how to survive. So get ready and open your ears and listen. And if any of you have been through similar things, please comment in the box below, or comment in the box below if you have strange and supernatural experiences. And please put a like, it keeps this channel going. So let's begin. I'm going to start from the fall of 2009. And that was very significant for me. That's also when the recession hit pretty hard in California. At this time, I was living in Central Valley, California. And so, let me just say, before I tell you about me being on the street and homeless, part of me chose to be homeless because I wanted to know what it's like to live that way and survive that way. The other half of that was that my own bad choices in life landed me in that position. So altogether, I was homeless for about, I would say, almost a year. I would say it's kind of fuzzy because I was going through a lot at that time in my life. I was sad, I was learning how to survive, and all of that was new to me when you're learning how to survive. And being homeless is a completely different way of living, a completely different way. It's just a different world. That's what my friend says. And it is so true. It's a world that is very different from having a normal life. And what I mean by normal life is that if you are accustomed to having a home, food in your stomach, mainly your necessities, food in your stomach, a roof over your head. All right, so here it is. So I ended up homeless because, as I said, 50% of it was the recession, 50% of it is my own choice and because of my own mistakes. Now, I was also had a car at this time, and I was learning how to park it on different streets because the police, they go on their, they do their runs, they check suspicious activity. So I had to learn to rotate where I parked my car and when I slept in my car. When I did not sleep in my car, I chose a place that has a lot of bushes and trees where it's kind of cozy. So during the day, I would look around town to find a bush, hedges, where it's lined up to where it would hide me from people walking on the street, where it would hide me pretty good and where it would not be very cold. I can still stay warm, etc. Number 2, to keep myself clean, I learned how to wash my hair in a Starbucks bathroom under 5 minutes, Yes, under the radar of, you have to be quick. And I just washed, mainly my armpits. I washed my hair and my armpits, you know, my, I'll just say, yeah, my private parts too. So, I washed what was necessary so I would not smell and stink real bad. So, but you learn. I forget. I had a friend that there's actually a name for that, of taking that kind of shower or bath. I forgot what he called it, where you do it in a public bathroom. And the reason why I chose Starbucks is because it's a private bathroom. It's not a huge bathroom where everybody walks in and out. You can go into the bathroom and you can lock the door and you have it to yourself for a few minutes. And of course, I would brush my teeth in there too, but I kept myself pretty clean, and I kept my nails cut, you know. Yeah, that is number two, keeping myself clean. Okay, and number three. Number three is food and transportation. This is how I did it. In the town that I lived in, this was when I was homeless in Central Valley, California. I'm not going to say the town, but it's not necessary for right now. So, number three, food in my stomach and getting from point A to point B around that town. I found out that there was a men's rescue mission that served breakfast and dinner. So I learned the times, would show up there early, and I remember there being a guy, he would hold out a garden hose, and run the water, and there was a second guy next to him with liquid soap, and he would squirt the soap into your hands, and you wash your hands right before you go through the doors and fall in line. They gave you a plate, and they give you a warm meal. And I remember the first time I had my first meal, my first week being homeless. I sat down in the dining room after they put some food on my plate, and it was spaghetti, meatballs, garlic bread, and that big plate of food and the steam coming off of it. I was crying. I started to cry because I was happy that total strangers were willing to feed me a warm meal, a good meal, a big plate of spaghetti, meatballs, garlic bread. And that was a very emotional time for me. I'll never forget that. I'll call that a milestone. But that was in, I believe, May or June of 2009. Now, there was also another organization besides the rescue mission. There was, I think they were called Love Inc., Love Incorporated, Inc., INC. And they would give away clothes and even, the inline skates, skateboards, and I ended up getting a skateboard. And that would help me get from point A to point B, because during this time too, I was able to see how long it took me to walk from one point of town to the other, especially my first month of being homeless, learning how to get from point A to point B, make it to dinner in time, and go back to my spot. If I was going to sleep behind a bush or in my car, I had to make it by a certain time so that people would not think that, I had to be very, very, very stealthy. I don't know the word for it. I had to be very careful, okay, where I would not make people suspicious, and I had to be very hidden. So I had to learn how to hide when I slept and make sure I would go in to my area that I chose to sleep in for that day or a few days or a week without people seeing me where I was, just for safety, because when you don't have four walls surrounding you, and also, there are crazy people out at night, people that get drunk, and I lived in a neighborhood where there are gangs, and my understanding at that time was that a lot of gangsters do not like homeless people. So I got around using a skateboard. So I self-taught myself. I taught myself how to ride a skateboard. I think I want to take that up again. It does save you time and a lot of money. Anyways, now for money. I lived on cookies and tea and food stamps to help me out. What I was doing was I was dumpster diving for recycling, aluminum, cans, plastic bottles. In California, that stuff is worth actually much more than it is worth in Texas. I noticed that right away. In different states, recycling is worth sometimes more money or less money. But in California, it's worth a lot. And I learned which kind of recyclables are worth good money. Like if you got a good handful of it. So I had a backpack and a big plastic bag, trash bag that is pretty thick, and I would fill that up each day. Added to this, to make a couple bucks, I would look for odd jobs, and I got odd jobs towards the end of my being homeless, okay? I did pet sitting, a lot of yard work for some people that I knew. I would make $60 here, $40 here, $20 here. I would do that every week, and I would throw every cent of that money into my account. So the food stamps helped me in a way of not spending the cash money that I made from yard work, from dumpster diving and looking for plastic bottles and aluminum cans and other recyclables. Now, with the recyclables in the town where I was at, they would weigh it, and I learned different places in the town where I could weigh it, where they would weigh it, and then they would give you a receipt, and you would turn it in to the grocery store, and they'd give you cash, and I would throw that money into my bank account. So by the end of me being homeless, I had about $600 plus in my bank account, and I used that to get out of California, to get my life back, and I moved to where there was excuse me. I moved out of California to where there's work. And so by 2013, I moved to Texas, and where there's all kinds of work. There's all kinds of jobs where you will have money coming in every 2 weeks. And that is my story, everyone. And once again, if you have any experiences, strange and supernatural, or something different, I'm here. If you would like to talk on the phone about it, comment me, and we'll talk. And remember, you are never alone. Good night.